Joining us right now is former domestic policy advisor to the Trump transition team, Ken Blackwell. Ken, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, ladies.
It sounds largely like what then candidate Trump talked about in terms of what he wanted to do. But what do we know in terms of acceptance here? This plan that he's going to announce today, has he been speaking to Congress about it?
Yes, and I think what's really good to know is that the leadership in Congress and the president both are pro-growth. They understand that we need to jumpstart our economy, get us past this period of anemic economic growth. And we're lucky that we have a president that not only understands capital, but respects the American worker. And so his whole approach has been to get growth, not just for growth's sake, but for the sake of producing jobs and lifting incomes. And that's what you're going to see as the principles driving his plan and the negotiations back and forth between President Trump and the Congress. The president proposes, the Congress disposes.
How much detail are you expecting in the way of deductions and the elimination of deductions, as well as that import tax or reciprocal tax? I know that the president said, he told me 2 weeks ago, he doesn't like a border adjustment tax, and that's out.
Right. I think this is the president's going in position, and what he really wants the takeaway to be is that he has proposed something that will attract capital back into the country. Right. I've listened to you all in the mornings talk about that $3.5 trillion, $5 trillion that's sitting on the outside waiting for an environment change that attracts capital back this way. Because as you all say every week, capital finds the path of least resistance and greatest opportunity, and that's what he's going to try to create here, an environment that attracts that capital back so that we can do things like infrastructure, but more importantly, lift incomes and create jobs.
Maria, we talked about this forever. Yeah. That small companies and small business owners have routinely gotten, pardon my language, screwed by the government in terms of taxation. And what is so critical and what we know so far about the Trump proposal is there will be a 15% rate on what's also called not only on big corporations but on pass-through entities. And that's when the income and deductions pass through to an owner's individual tax returns. So those small business owners, and most businesses in this country are pass-through entities, they're going to get a 15% rate.
They were paying 39.6.
Right.
That's huge.
It is astonishing, and it is so important to highlight the fact that this is an administration that understands how jobs are created in this country and the burden that has been put on small business owners. Yeah. And it gives you an incentive to start a business, quite frankly, if you're going to get a fair shake.
Yeah. So you think that this moves the needle in terms of small business creating jobs?
Right.
If this is lowering their expense side of the business so much, going from 39.6 to 15%, that opens them up to actually put that money to work.
You repeal the individual mandate in terms of health care coverage as well. No wonder that market is at an all-time, that the NASDAQ's at an all-time high. But you mentioned this yesterday. The Russell 2000, small companies, record high yesterday as well.
Yeah, and that shows you domestic strength.
Right.
And anticipation of domestic strength.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about trade for a second, because this is where he could wiggle in some revenue. President Trump spoke by phone with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau last night in a call that the White House described as amicable. The call coming after the president, of course, downplayed concerns about a potential trade war with Canada after his administration put tariffs on softwood lumber imports. Listen.
Do you fear a trade war with Canada, sir?
No, not at all.
Why not?
They have a tremendous surplus with the United States. Whenever they have a surplus, I have no fear. By the way, virtually every country has a surplus with the United States. We have massive trade deficits. So when we're the country with the deficits, we have no fear.
So, Ken, Canada, second largest U.S. trading partner. It's obviously an important relationship here. What do you make of this move to put the tariff on lumber?
Look, fair and free trade. Those are the watch terms of this president. He understands, again, the importance of trading, but he wants to make sure that we have an even playing field. I tell you, one of the things to watch out for is how he deals with the violations to the open sky policies or treaties and the clear violation of Qatar and the EAU against those. So he understands that has an impact on 1.5 million American jobs. And so here's a president that will jawbone with our trading partners. He will jawbone with Congress and foot draggers there. And he is a president that has, one, engendered enthusiasm and confidence because he understands capital, and he is a chief advocate for the American worker.
Yeah.
So that's going to guide his approach to our trading partners.
So here's something that literally made me fall out of my seat this morning, that you actually had a compliment from Chuck Schumer to President Trump on the move against the dairy farmers. He tweeted this. He retweeted what President Trump had written on Twitter and then said, "Been fighting for New York dairy farmers on this. Glad to see POTUS join our fight to change Canada's unfair policy that undercuts our farmers." And then Ron Wyden came out with a positive statement on the lumber tariffs, the Democrat from Oregon. So you've got two big Democrats praising President Trump.
Really
that's really big.
I think that might be one of the first compliments ever.
I know. Of course, Chuck Schumer's Twitter feed is full of insults as well, but that was notable.
Yeah.
I did. I literally fell out of my desk chair this morning.
This just about a week after or 2 weeks after they complimented him on the attack, the strikes against Syria.
Right.
So there you go. Ken, good to talk with you this morning. Thanks so much for weighing in.
Always good.